It's starting to rain here. So we'll do a rainy walk. I assume the iPhone is waterproof. And we just got a brief period of window. I can maybe get to this little path up here and avoid the rain. But man, sometimes into each life a little rain must fall. And that is man, that's just like the music business. Into each life a little rain must fall. I've had the rain fall on me many, many times. I've had the rug pulled out on me. I've had everything taken from me. And man, I'm still here. I'm still swinging. I'm still getting up and walking. I'm still surviving, man. And for anybody out there that's going through tough times, life is really hard now as you get older. Man, a lot of the people that watch my channel are going through health problems or, going through financial struggles and all that. Man, I'm here to tell you, you can get through this, man. It's just like this rainfall right now. Yeah, I'm getting wet. It's soggy and it's kind of yucky out. But I needed to get up. I needed to get out of the house for a minute and get some fresh air. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not letting anything stop me. And I don't want anybody that watches this channel to let life stop them from achieving their goals, from getting out there in the world and making things happen. While the rain might fall, it will stop. There will become a clearing. The sun will shine again. And this is an important message for everybody out there to hear it, man. There is a tomorrow, and that tomorrow can be bright. That tomorrow is filled with promise, and you can have a better tomorrow. But you have to keep going. You can't give up. You can't throw in the towel. Man, I know there's many times in life where we feel like it's over, where we feel like we can't go on. And like I said, man, I've had the rug pulled out on me. I've had, sent home from road gig, come home. The girlfriend says I'm leaving, moves back home. I've got just a little bit of money in the bank, and then I come home and there's a hole in my roof, water leaking all inside the house, and here I am back to square one. Man, that was probably the hardest time I've ever had to go through in my life. And the song that kept playing in my head, and I've talked about this before in my channel, but man, I know there's going to be somebody out there that needs to hear this over and over in my head for some reason. The song, "You Left Me Just When I Needed You Most." Somehow that was just stuck in my head, and just that one line was playing over and over and over again. And it was brutal, man. It was probably about 2 days of just extreme depression and not wanting to do anything. But one thing that I have is the will to live, the will to fight. So when I knew that I was going to be home and that I was going to be, out of sorts and needing work, and I sent messages to my friends, and my friends that I hadn't seen in probably 3 years, barely even seen, barely even contacted, because I had been so busy. I've been on the road and just unavailable in another world, off into outer space. And, before my depression set in, I sent them all messages and said, hey, I'm back in town. I'm back in town. And man, it wasn't but, I don't know, 1 day or 2 days, I was back playing a gig. And man, I was so out of place because I was a different person than the person that had started out on the road. I started out on the road, clean shaven, you know, a decent haircut. And I came back an absolute wild man with long hair and this long beard with, you know, colors all in it. And, you know, I look like Dimebag Darrell. And that was far removed from the guy that had started, you know, the guy that had gotten that road gig. You know, I had become the person that I thought that the gig needed. I became and filled that role. But once I got off the road and came back home, I needed to come back home and find myself and remember who I was. And the biggest part of me doing that is getting back to my friends and getting back to playing the music that I loved. Not the music that was putting me out on the big stage, but the music I loved, because those were entirely two different things. What I had to play on the road, man, there were nights where, man, I just wasn't feeling it. But you have to deliver. You have to go out there and do it regardless. And I did. But man, the reality is this. You know, I had to get back to finding who I am. And if you're feeling lost right now and you're feeling down, you're feeling like the world is just not doing you any favors right now, you know, get back to who you are. Don't let the world or your gig or your situation change who you are. You were somebody before all that hardship, and you need to get back and find that person. And for me, it was finding the guitar player, the guy that I was before I took that road gig. Before that road gig chewed me up and spit me out. I needed to come back and find out who I really was. And when I realized that, man, there's a whole nother level of my musicianship that I was ignoring while I was on the road. Because let's face it, man, when you're on the road, you've got certain notes you have to play and certain songs you have to play, and you got to do it night after night. But once I was back home, I reconnected with my friends and got on some of those gigs and got to play music that I loved and got to play with people that inspired me and got to create on stage. It wasn't just playing by the numbers and playing the same songs every night. It was reacting and interacting and creating, you know, and making incredible live moments. Once I got back to finding myself and doing that, man, I was back. And it was a slow process of, you know, maybe I'll cut off this beard. You know, I went into playing the gig. I got a gig at BB King's, playing with the BB King All-Stars in Nashville. And I went in being pretty much the same guy that I was on the road gig. And I would have 1 or 2 shots, you know, on the gig just to loosen up. Far removed from the giant glass of whiskey that I was drinking on stage, playing theaters and clubs and arenas. You know, I had to revert back to my previous self. I had to slowly, it was a slow process of turning, but eventually I shaved that beard off. I trimmed the hair, you know, eventually, you know, curbed the drinking, and got back to being who I was before all the madness, before the thing that took me to the most incredible highs and then dropped me down to the most incredible lows. I had to get back to being myself. And I think that's an important lesson. I think we all start out in life with much enthusiasm, with a lot of drive, and a lot of passion, especially if you're a musician. Man, the ups and downs of the business, it can kick your ass. It could just absolutely kick your ass, and you could feel like, man, I'm done. And there have been many points in my life where I had grown to hate music. I had hated what I had become. I had hated what I had had to do to make it. I hated the music that I was playing in some degrees. I mean, not all of it, but there were moments that I hated. And man, there were many times where I wanted to quit. And getting back to that little kid mindset where all I wanted to do was play. I didn't aspire to be a guy that played in arenas or big stages. I just saw my local guitar teacher playing at the Holiday Inn, and that's what I wanted to do. And so once I got back to that mindset and that love of playing just for the pure joy of it, and stopped trying to make it, and stopped worrying about how many butts were in the seats and how much merch got sold that night and all that other stuff that's really doesn't matter in the long run. Once I got back to just being Brad, and not bad Brad, but just Brad, the kid that loves playing guitar. Once I got back to being that guy and came home, found my friends again, and found the music that I loved, and once I did all that, then I found my love of music again. And I never ever again took an opportunity to go back out on the road and experience all that. I've been there, I've done that. I know and realize how hard it is. I mean, I think back now at all my heroes growing up, and like David Lee Roth, he seemed like he's the guy you all wanted to be. But now he's just this kind of sad, alone, eccentric or crazy guy living in his mansion, dancing to an invisible crowd. And, that's not who I want to be. I want to be now the person that my family needs, that I need to survive, that, can help people and reach out to people on this YouTube and provide a valuable lesson, man. These are life lessons that you could spend a lifetime learning. And here, just by clicking on this video, you can learn about life, man. If you're a young guy and you're considering, playing music for a living, man, these are valuable life lessons. Don't ever let the music business steal your joy. Don't ever let the music business steal your joy. It can definitely do that, man. It's a cutthroat, brutal business. They'll pat you on the back and stab you with the other hand. You can't really trust anybody in that world because everybody's jockeying for a position. And it's just like being on a football team. There's people that are favorites, the coach's pets, the road manager's pets, people that are treated with the utmost respect, and they're your buddy. And then other people on the road that don't get the respect of the tour manager. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. Some of the best players often on a football team ride the bench. And it's, there's a lot of favoritism, there's a lot of nepotism, all those kind of things that goes on. And you might not ever get your shot for those very reasons alone. You might be too good. Maybe they don't want you to shine so much because you're better than them. The reality is, man, a lot of people I've seen on big stages, and I'm not including anybody that I work for, but I've seen a lot of people that, and I have way more talent than those people. And that's not saying that I'm great, because I'm not saying that at all. But man, being great really isn't a huge part of it. It's a lot of luck. There's a lot of being in the right place at the right time and somebody taking a chance on you and, being somewhere where those things can happen. And I don't think that was ever really my goal in the long run. I just wanted to play my damn guitar and get my, I figured it out. I figured it out late in life. I want to show up. I want to play my guitar. I want to get my check and I want to go home. That is my ultimate goal in the music business. And if I decide to start playing again down here in Florida, that's going to be my goal too. I don't want any nonsense. I don't want to deal with any band politics. I don't want to unnecessarily rehearse. If I know my parts and everybody else in the band knows their parts, I don't need to rehearse 5 nights a week and not get paid for it. That cuts into my time. That cuts into the money made. I just want to play my guitar, get my check, and go home. And man, climbing up the hill of success, it's overrated, man. It's overrated, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. Into each life, a little rain must fall. But as you can see here, it's clear again. And it might be cloudy, and it might be a bumpy road back. But you know what? That rain will cease to fall. Those clouds will go away. You can find the person that you were before all the madness, and you can get back to being the person that you were before. Hey, I did it, and if I can do it, anybody can do it.